Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence?
Welcome to T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show. Music, comedy, and conversation featuring HB, the Honey Badger.
Honey Badger don't care.
Now, on with the show.
Make some noise out there. It's about having just a little bit too much to drink. It's called This Whiskey.
This is Radio Free Roanoke, and this is episode 104, T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show.
You ready, HB?
I'm ready, T-Bone.
JD?
How y'all doing?
Are you ready?
I'm always ready.
He is JD Sutphin. He is, JD, I referred to you the other day as the Swiss Army knife of entertainment in the Roanoke Valley.
Thank you very much.
And the reason I said that is you're the CEO of Big Lick Entertainment.
Yes, sir.
Which puts on festivals, fundraisers, events all over the Roanoke Valley. And you also are the singer-songwriter for the Low Chariot.
Yes, sir.
And now you and your brother Adam are owning and operating Big Lick Comics.
Yes, sir.
Oh, baby. And that's where we are today. So let's get started there. There's a lot to chop up.
Yeah.
But let's start right there. You and Adam, who we met before, very strong personality. Nice guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, is that
I
right?
guess so.
Good guy, yes.
He's my older brother. I'm supposed to pick on him a little bit, right? Because he picked on me for long enough. Jeez.
But take us back to that conversation where you and Adam said, you know what? What if we did this, or maybe we could do something? And
it's kind of hard to pinpoint on how it happened, because when I think about our childhood, the biggest things that I think about outside of when the two of us were at our dad and grandfather's antique store was going to comic book shops.
And where was your dad, man?
So Gene's Trading Post in Cloverdale. Gene is my grandfather. He's been an antiquer since the 40s. He is 92 years old and still wheels and deals and does all that kind of fun stuff and mows his own grass, you know. He's my hero. But we would always go to like Star City Comics, the Dusty Corner Bookstore, B&D Comics, and we were just enamored with everything superhero, the drawing, the stories. And it's kind of interesting in full circle for me, because my interest in comics led me to want to draw. Well, what did I do when I was drawing? Listen to music. What did I do when I was listening to music? I really want to play music. What did I do when I started playing music? Got into radio, it changed my entire career when it goes back to comics.
Okay.
And then the other thing that's kind of interesting, of all the events that I have done with Big Lick Entertainment, and I've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for charity over the years, but our biggest events are our Comic-Con.
Now that's Big Lick Comic-Con.
Yeah, Big Lick Comic-Con at the Berglund Center. We do it twice a year, and I think it wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been the slowdown due to COVID. Because, I mean, we canceled all of our festivals last year.
Right.
We only did one event from February through the end of the year. Right. It was crazy for me when I normally, in the summertime, that's every other week, we're out doing something. And we started kicking around of like, well, should we open an antique store? Like, we were thinking about my grandfather. And we actually talked about that for a while, but then it was like, what are we kidding ourselves? Like, we know comics. Like, this is our life. They mean something to us, and I always think that doing something with intent is a big part of my life. I think you should really have a good reason of why you did something, right?
Some intent and some passion.
Yeah, and we thought about the Big Lick events, because Adam was working with me at Big Lick Entertainment. And that's right, I got to tell my big brother what to do because he was working for me.
But I never got to.
That's a life goal, hashtag, you know. But we started talking about the comic shop, and we were like, you know, we need to do something 50-50 together, because he was instrumental in the Comic-Con. because he knows those events. He'd been going to them for years and years, way more than I ever did. Okay. So the Comic-Cons would have never been as successful as they were if he had not been a part of it.
All right.
But then I'm the marketing guy, I'm the numbers guy and stuff, so we figured out what our roles would be, and we thought that, well, if we did a comic shop, it needs to feel like big. Yes. It needs to feel like you're going into a Comic-Con. There needs to be some theater to it. We've had people tell us that, like, it makes me feel like I'm going to an old movie theater.
Immersive is the word I've heard.
Immersive, 100%. Yes. And then I just came up with the tagline of not a store, a story, because I just didn't want... Every problem that I've heard reported about why retail isn't working is because I honestly think that they are still thinking about how things were forever ago. And even my grandfather and dad's antique shop, it felt magical in there because you felt like you were discovering whatever piece was in that store. It was 55,000 square feet. It was huge. Wow. And every little corner was decorated with something that you would notice every other time you went there that you didn't notice the last time. And I was like, what if we did the same thing? And in all like the Marvel movies, they call them Easter eggs. Yes. Where it's like these little, little snippets of the story. So there are literal physical Easter eggs all over the comic shop. You might not notice the first time you're in here, there's a life-size Spider-Man that's peeking behind a building. And we came up with an actual story. I'm really rambling on here. I'm sorry.
That's good.
There's an actual storyline that we came up with for the comic shop of why it actually exists. And it's a fictional story of you were in the city of Big Lick. And it's a multiverse. And above us, and you're looking at the clouds, and you can see Star Wars, and you can see Superman, you can see Spider-Man's universe and the Marvel universe.
Oh, cool.
You can see Pokemon, you can see all of these things as you're visiting them within this space. So that's why it kind of feels like a city.
And we're in the Big Lick universe. And it is big. It's 6,000 square feet, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a big spot. I would say that it's definitely big, and it was a little kind of weird at first to go like, how many books are we gonna have to order in order to fill this place? And how many collections are we gonna have to buy or pull from our own collections?
Now, how did you break it down into sections, JD? It's like you come in and there's like different sections, right?
100% inspired by Disney World. The original Disneyland. So you are in lands when you come into the shop. Right now we're sitting inside, not the coffee shop, it's called With Great Coffee. Because with great power comes great responsibility. You can get a lot done with You get a lot done with great coffee. And then our kids area is called Excelsior Park. So it's named for Stan Lee. So we were thinking like, in the city of Big Lick, who is its star resident? 100% Stan Lee, right? In our fictional city. So our hero, which is in our logo, is the statue within the park of Excelsior Park. So it's educational and inspiring because that's everything that means Excelsior to me.
Oh, man.
Our comic book wall, which is all the new comics, is called the Halls of All Knowing.
Now, we told Adam, we said, Adam, we'd like to go into the Hall of All Knowing, but we need a hall pass.
No hall pass required for the Halls of All Knowing. And that's actually a reference to just 4 different comics in the 70s in the Marvel Universe that's actually going to be explored in the Loki TV show. And it is a celestial place where all of the stories of the heroes are recorded. I was like, that's a slam dunk name. Man. I'm totally putting that on a street somewhere and putting it in. It's like the Halls of All Knowing. Like, oh my gosh. And there's a really cool joke in one of the issues where they're like, what is this giant section on this guy named Peter Parker? I was like, well, Spider-Man's got a whole lot of stories. He literally has a full rogues gallery. And then our action figure area is appropriately called Action Figure Land.
So you'd have some action
figures. But we've barely scratched on what we're going to do as far as installation-wise within the shop. So like we're working on something really neat that's going to be all above and immersive and interactive around the action figures that'll be coming in the next few months. The guy that sculpted our hero, which is surprisingly enough not sculpted after my own physique.
Next time.
Yeah, right? Yeah. This guy's unbelievable, and I mean, I want to get into, like, we really want the store to continually change and grow and, like, have that Galaxy's Edge kind of feel for Disney, where you feel like you're really within the story, and more art, more things to do within the shop will be something fun, and to harken back to the Comic-Con vibe, we're having guests here all the time. So like we've already had 2 different local artists that are incredible. We've got a celebrity that's coming this Saturday who is the Blue Power Ranger, Michael Copon. Something like a Power Ranger at a comic shop.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, absolutely. Sign me up. My son's flipping out.
I'll watch them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we just thought it would be something neat to where no ticket price or something like that.
Right. And
just stuff that where there's always movement and something happening within the space. Because I think you got to build a community around a product.
There you go.
You know.
And then you also have, I'm sure, a back issues section where
and
old folks like
that's
me.
big, I guess. That's like
hands
huge.
down the biggest part of our store. And even though we've only been open a few weeks, I've literally already went and bought 9,000 more comics, literally physically 9,000 comics last week.
That's a lot of lifting.
Because of how many we're going through, because people love to flip through the back issues. And our joke, the area is called Big Lick Chiropractic. Back issues. See what we did there? Hey, whoa, slip disc. Yeah. I haven't put the sign up there yet, but we say it to each other all the time. I was like, man, that's the biggest dad joke I've ever come up with in my life. Like.
Now, JD, what is it that draws us and draws the community to comics and keeps bringing them back? What is it?
I think it's the ability for the parent or the adult to feel like a kid again. Or even and if you're not coming in by yourself because you get to connect to something that you loved when you were a kid, just like I still to this day know what my favorite cheeseburger should taste like because it's based on the one that I loved when I was 10 years old.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like every single food that you've ever liked is probably either connected to something your grandmother made, your mom made, your dad made, or that you ate before you were 15 years old.
Right.
And you are just searching after that feeling. Yeah. And I still, even seeing the X-Men book that you have right here, I had this one, and I was like, man, this is the reprint of an original book. Like, I'll never have the original book, but I can look and I can still see the stroke lines that are slightly different and more detailed than the old ones, or the new ones that I was getting. And it brings it all back. When I see the parent walk in here and connect with their child in a totally different way than they would watching something on Netflix, because they're physically holding something.
Right.
That's magic. You know,
So
and you can't fake that.
You can't fake it. It's real. It's the art. It's the story.
It's tangible.
It's the characters.
Yeah. And I 1,000,000% think that all these tangible things in retail spaces and malls, all that, it's totally cyclical. It'll all come back. It'll be the biggest you've ever seen. COVID will end up being one of those things that people go like, man, didn't that remind us what was special?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. This was like the hidden gift that reminded us of what was
special. We are pack animals. You know, as humans, you were supposed to be around other people.
All right, let me throw this at you, JD. It's been a long time since I've been in a comic book loop. You know, I can see myself 1966 at G.C. Murphy at the comic rack.
Wow.
And looking at these magazines I brought you here. And the artwork by Stan Kirby or Jack Kirby was so great. But what's popular now?
Yeah, what is the...
It really runs the gamut. Like some of the big, giants are still huge, but there's so many new artists now that it's hard for me to keep up with.
Yeah.
But then all of the greats from my era, which is like the early 90s, the Alex Ross, Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, they're still huge. But then there's like Scotty Moore is just, everyone is constantly asking my brother, do you have any Scotty stuff? And it's like, because it's very like childlike and whimsical.
Yeah.
But the reason that I think that that's working, and like I like it too, I like the super, super realistic stuff personally.
Yeah.
Or the Jack Kirby, because the use of color was just massive. But I think that the people like the whimsical stuff because you can literally remember that it's him.
Oh.
There's a lot of artists that like, that guy's really influenced by Rob. That guy's really influenced by Todd. And I think that's got to be hard for an artist to decide, like, this is what I want to look like. And I think there's only very few artists, whether they're a musician or they paint or they draw or whatever, that's exactly what they sound like or look like or draw like from the very beginning.
They're truly original.
I think at some point they have to just make that decision of like, what am I creatively?
Right.
And that sometimes is a business decision.
Yeah.
Of like marketability. Like there's a series, Batman Black and White, and I, as a marketing person and a person that appreciates art, because I like to draw and paint as well, I love it because you always know that that's that comic on the rack.
Okay, yeah.
The second you see that black and white one that's always painted, that always has a slight fade to it and a matte kind of finish, you're like, that's the new one. I'm picking it up. I'm taking it home with me. Yeah. Because sometimes when I look at the new comics, I'm like, man, there's all these new variant covers. Everyone loves the variants, and I do too, especially when you can get the ones that are blank that someone can draw the actual cover on it for you. So we had an artist doing that here last week. Oh. But what's tough about that is you're like, which comic am I looking at? So we're walking through our own area and we're like, where does Thor start? Because it's just so many options. But then on the other end, where it might be harder for the person to find that comic, you have so much more content to constantly ingest.
All right, you get, 140 new magazines a month?
A month, yes, and they come out every single Wednesday.
Every single Wednesday. Yeah. So you get a lot, it'll always evolve.
And there's something new being unboxed in the shop literally every single day. Every day, there's something new.
And you mentioned you just picked up boxes of 8,000 or 9,000 that you bought from a person. Now, if I'm at home and I've got a bunch of comic books in the attic, is there a white whale out there? Is there a magazine, comic book that you guys might say, oh, that's a good one?
Absolutely, yeah. And like my brother, I think, like printed and laminated a list of like, here's 115 books that we'd like to find, because you know that they pop. And it's been really interesting for me of seeing like, I'm just a value kind of person. Like my grandfather always had the saying of like, I'd rather make $5 fast than $10 slow. Just turn something over, man. Just if somebody's interested in it, sell it. Let them have it and let them enjoy it. It's all for sale. He would always joke that his house was always for sale, whether there was a sign out in front or not.
Yeah.
But I've been blown away by the people wanting high-end stuff. But it's because they really are an investment. Like when you get a big book that's been graded, you know, a Wolverine, you know, or something like that whatever you're into. But those things a lot of times really do hold their value. Sometimes you see this stuff jump and it's kind of like watching the stock market. Like I've got an app and I look at like, oh, they just announced a movie for this guy, boom, and it shoots up.
Okay.
You know, but that always, it's really interesting, the variables that make a book valuable. You know, that cover that really jumps out at somebody and says something to it.
Yeah.
And I really think it truly goes back to the art has to matter in the book in a lot of ways. And that's a neat thing of like selling something that you really think is great.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just like, we're just selling stuff to kids all day and a bunch of paper. You know, no, it's like it's stories that really engage with people and drawings and paintings that are gorgeous.
JD, are the standards still like Thor, Hulk, X-Men? I mean,
it's all
they are always
Superman, Spider-Man, Batman.
Are they still out?
Those they're the top three. They're hands down. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And like I thought about that kind of stuff because again, you know, my marketing kind of brain of like, what's the algorithm for the store? You know, and I get really geeked out on like, and geek being a very strong pun, I guess I could say. Of like, what is that magic concoction that when you're in the shop that you, and I thought, I was like, you should always be surrounded by Superman, Spider-Man, or Star Wars. So literally, no matter where you stand at in the store, you are within an arm's reach of Superman, Spider-Man, or Star Wars.
The big three.
Yeah, those are it. That's the, you know.
Now the age,
because you can't go wrong with any three of those.
The range of age that come in, I bet it's
monstrous.
3 to
oh yeah,
100.
300.
Absolutely. Yeah, right. Yeah, totally. That's a nice guy. You know, seen a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's really wild, the variants, and it's really exciting.
Yeah.
You know, like people
sure.
flipping out today over these. This Batman Fortnite comic came out today. We
Fortnite.
could not hold enough of them in, and it was everything from people buying them for their grandchild. Or a guy that's 10 or 15 years older than me is like, yeah, man, I play Fortnite when I get off of work, and it de-stresses me. It's like, good for you. That's awesome. You know what I mean? There's a lot of worse things you could do to de-stress yourself.
Fortnite guy that's like one of the top ones in the. He's ranked, I think.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's like all of that stuff like is all cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know?
Now this.
You are listening to Radio Free Roanoke, and this is T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show with the Honey Badger. Hear all their episodes on their YouTube channel. Now, back to the show.
Well, let me segue, JD. You started with the Big Lick Comic Con, and then when COVID hit, you kind of said, "Well, let's come up with an idea," and it ended up where we are today, which is a beautiful store.
Thank you.
It is.
So,
Fantastic.
the Big Lick Comic Con started in 2017.
Yes, sir.
When's your next one?
So it'll be August 7th and 8th of this year.
Good. That's a good time.
yeah.
Too. I think things will crank,
That's what we were
cranked up.
thinking.
Yeah.
And we're not even going to do our first like in-person outdoor event until the end of June, and that'll be outside. But even still for like the Comic-Con, because we got to pull one off in October last year, and we did it just 1,000 people at a time. We were at less than 30%, I think is what it was. No, something like that of the venue. I did not have to ask one single customer to put a mask on.
Oh,
really?
Everyone was phenomenal. Everybody, the thing that we really pushed to the crowd more than anything was like to look around you and think about everybody else's personal space.
Yeah.
That's what
Just be considerate. You know what I mean? Whether or not you think that you might get it from wearing the mask or not, whether you don't care, whether you're nervous about it, just think about the person around you. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And everyone was so cool.
Neat.
And it
That
went
is so
off
cool.
without a hitch to where like now I know that looking at the way now they just opened up for anyone 16 and up. Take the vaccine.
Right, they did, yeah. Walk-ups at the...
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Good
even
job.
and it's unfortunate that that stuff gets politicized when I don't think that your health should be a political, thing. And I don't, I try not to. I'd stay out of politics and stuff, but I sell fun for a living. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was wild at the con in October after going almost a year without an event that people were coming up to me in tears.
They're ready for it.
That they were like, how much they missed their friends, how they had not hardly left the house since then, and how excited they were to be around
So
other
that
folks.
must bring in thousands of people to the Roanoke area.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right, it
Yeah, the
would.
one before the COVID shutdown in last February. February 2020 was our last one. We had over 10,000 tickets. It was wild. Yeah.
So not only is that a driver for the Roanoke area, but you must have a Roanoke community of people
Yeah.
who love. I mean, there just must be a built-in community.
Absolutely, and it was really wild. We actually had all these different out-of-state tickets that would sell, because I look at all the zip codes, all my tickets and stuff, and I like to follow and do all my research and numbers and stuff like that. And I haven't quantified what the economic impact of something like that is, but I think about it just knowing the hotel that we work with locally is Marriott. They always sell out both hotels, just the ones that I know about for our event. All of those dozens and hundreds, of people, when you're out of town, you're buying breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're getting gas.
Yeah.
You're going to other shops. You're going to the museum. Because a lot of people see when they go to a con, like when I love Baltimore Comic Con, because I know that I can walk to the aquarium with my son from his Comic Con.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I've been there.
So like what did I spend to go and take my son there? That is money that helped however many people work at that nonprofit aquarium, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I then went and I eat at the Cheesecake Factory. There's not one in town. What's up? I like dessert. you know? And all of that just helps so many people. You tip, you do all these things. And the events really drive a lot in the economy.
Well, let's run down just a little bit of what you guys do with Big Lick Entertainment. Now, I've been to Big Lick Downtown Countdown
awesome.
ever since it's ever started.
Thank you so
the
much.
last one I think was it was right before the big thing happened.
Right.
But that being said, what else you guys do? I think I know, but
Yeah.
you tell me what else you guys
So
do.
we have our country concert series, Flat Pickin' Fridays at Daleville Town Center. We have a steak festival. We have our Big Lick Burger Fest. We have our Boco Barbecue and Country Music Festival. Obviously, we have Big Lick Comic Con that we talked about. The biggest New Year's Eve event in the state of Virginia, Big Lick Downtown Countdown, which started my company. We started that in 2013. We do a lot of fun stuff. And we have our Elmwood Country Night, which is a country concert that we do that raises money for NAMI of Roanoke Valley, an all volunteer, all free mental health nonprofit.
Wow,
So like when you can
deal
raise
right
thousands
now.
of dollars for folks like that, and they've done incredible work through COVID. Because it's tough. Like I said, when you're supposed to be around other people, they make you happy.
Yes.
You share things. You're supposed to share your life with people, and the incredible work that they do, and we're hoping to be able to do more stuff with them later this year. We do a lot with Center in the Square.
Okay.
We do a lot with the Virginia Museum of Transportation, and it's one of those things of Big Lick started in order to be able to see a positive change and positive movement. and momentum, in town. It wasn't about our company; it's what we could do for other folks.
There you go. Well, it's got a big footprint on the Roanoke Valley.
Thank
so
you
keep
so
it going,
much.
my
I
friend.
appreciate that.
Now, there's two great mysteries in life, JD. Two. One is who built the pyramids. The other one is where the heck did the name the Low Chariot come from?
So that is my grandfather that started Gene's Trading Post. That's JD Sutphin. My other grandfather on my mom's side, never got to meet him. He was a bluegrass singer. I look exactly like him. I never got to meet him before. I was born in 1983. He died in 1974. Last thing he ever did was play a country music show, and tragically passed away. Got hit by a car after the show on the 4th of July in Vinton, Virginia.
And he played Jim Freeman, right?
Jim Freeman and the
he
Bluegrass
played
Cavaliers.
Played
Yep.
with Ralph Stanley and
Bill Monroe,
Yeah.
and he judged guitar competitions. He traveled all over the country. My mom's best memories.
Had a Martin guitar.
Yes, sir. And that's actually my guitar now.
Is that your guitar?
My '61 Martin D28. And
I'm sorry, but go ahead.
yeah, no, and he my mom always tells me her favorite memories was falling asleep in his lap at like a Waffle House after him playing a gig. That's
Yeah. Wow.
And I never got to meet this guy. On his gravestone is "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot,"
On his gravestone.
and a carving of that Martin guitar.
Oh my gosh! You could
I mean,
tell
it's-
he was a music man.
Oh yeah, and so I had been in a heavy metal band for like over a decade, and I went to Nashville for the first time, and I stood outside the Ryman, and my mom, while I'm at the Ryman, like she didn't even know where I was at in Nashville, texted me a flyer from the last time he played there. And I'm like, that's
how cool is that?
epic, right?
That's
And then it was like,
synchronicity.
and it was a picture of the record that he did as his song that everyone knew him for was his version of "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot." And I was like, man, that's the name of the band. I hadn't even written my first song for the band yet, and I was like, that's the name. That's it.
Oh wow.
On your website, you've got it's a wonderful story, a fascinating story. I want you to tell us real quick. But it's where you use the tagline, where faith, family, and music became one.
Yes, sir.
And it
Yeah.
involves your grandma and your granddaddy. But
Yeah.
tell us that story as we start to wrap up. It's a fascinating
Thank
story.
you. Yeah, my grandmother, when I was 16, I'd only been playing guitar for a few months, and I'm just trying to play like Metallica riffs on my electric guitar that my mom got me. Hadn't written a lick. And we go over to my grandmother's house for the 4th of July. She always did a big 4th of July party in remembrance of my grandfather. And she was like, son, country music's gonna find you. And I'm like, yeah, right, heavy metal's in my veins, man. Like for life, man.
Turn the volume to
Absolutely.
11.
It's not loud enough.
Yeah.
And she gave me the Martin. And it was like, it was like a sword in the stone. Here's Mjolnir from Thor. The lightning is yours kind of moment. And she gave me the guitar. And everything that I thought about guitar playing and songwriting, it completely just, it was gone. It was all about the Martin. And I wrote my first song that night.
And then they find some songs too, JD? that
Yes,
your
sir. So
granddaddy-
then fast forward a decade, and it's Christmas at my mom's house.
Now, how old are you?
I'm
when
38.
When that guitar.
When I got that guitar,
Yes.
I was 16.
Okay. You're
Yeah.
38.
Yep.
right.
That was a big guitar for a 16-year-old. It cut the crap out of my fingers trying to play that guitar. Because I didn't change the strings at first. And I'm like, these are really old strings.
Yeah. But back to your story.
Yeah, so Christmas time, I'd been in that metal band, Madrone, for years. And my aunt's like, I've got something really special for you for Christmas. And I'm like, it's like a really light box. I'm like, this is not a shirt. You know what's in this?
Socks.
And I open it up, and it's words and music. And I'm like, holy grail moment, flipping through it. And I started realizing that all of them said, words and music by Jim Freeman. Words and music by Jim Freeman. It's like, oh my God. It was all of the songs that he'd written that he never got to record. Ooh. And I started learning those songs, like literally that night at my house. I mean, I remember my wife was just like bawling, and when she gave, and I learned them, and I was like, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to play stories. It changed my life.
It did.
Wow. And it was like and it was again just like that moment when she gave me the guitar.
Yeah.
Because that had been years after my grandmother passed away when they gave me those songs. So she never got to see me play country music.
Oh my. Well, I mean, see, it's not a good story.
Yes, that is.
Gee. Well, all right, let's wrap it up here, my friend. Look, the Low Chariot. Do you see them playing as the year goes on? You guys have anything coming up?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
a whole
what's your
bunch of
dates
shows.
coming
Yeah,
up?
and we've got a lot of stuff actually, a lot of festival shows, and some nice outdoor, socially distanced fun. Our website's lowchariot.com that you can check out all the dates that are going there.
And we're going to play some of your Low Chariot
Thank
songs
you.
as bumpers for this interview.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, I just played a show in Nashville just last weekend, and we've got some more shows in Nashville coming up as well. But we'll be playing my Flat Pickin' Fridays Country Series. We will be playing in Roanoke this year. We try to spread out our shows so that they're big, and not just constantly play, because we want to make sure that we've got a really smoking set and we're nice and rehearsed for you.
Yeah, I've seen you 3
Wow,
times.
Thank you so
got
much.
a lot
Good
on your
shows.
plate.
We stay busy.
He can do a little more. Come on.
Oh,
now.
jeez.
Come
It's
on.
better be busy than bored, right? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, well, let's a big finish here, JD. As far as the Big Lick Comics,
Yeah.
or Big Lick Entertainment, or the Low Chariot, is there anything else we left out? Anything else you want to highlight? Tell people where to go.
All I can say is positive thinking equals positive results.
There you go.
How to find this place?
Yeah, biglickcomics.com, biglickentertainment.com for all things on events, lowchariot.com for all the music.
Fantastic.
You're the man. We'll see you around town.
Yes,
Y'all,
sir.
thank you so much. You guys
JD.
rock. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
I think he's done this, guys.
It's an empty bar on an empty street, an empty city in an empty state. Maybe it's full, I'm only looking at you. Like a broken watch where time stands still, a second with you is so unreal. I tell you it's you, all I wanna do. And I'll offer you a drink, have a sip, please stay. All I ever do, all I wanna do, everything I do, I wanna do with you. All I ever do, all I wanna do, everything I do, I wanna do with you. The sun's going down, the mood is bright. Don't be looking for answers through the night. I'll tell you it's you, it's all I wanna do. And I'll offer you a drink, have a sip, please stay. All I ever do, all I wanna do, everything I do, I wanna do with you. All I ever do, all I wanna do, everything I do, I wanna do with you. Yeah. All I ever do, all I wanna do, everything I do, I wanna do with you. All I ever do, all I wanna do, everything I do, I wanna do with you. And I'll offer